Preamble. I'm Jeremy Shinewald. I'm the founder and president of MBA Admissions. We've been doing this we've been in the admissions consulting business for 20 years now, full time. This is what our team does. This is all we do. We help people get into business school, and we really take that seriously. And we have a full-time team. We operate as a professional organization, I suppose the same as a top law firm would. This is very much what we do, and it's a calling for us, and it's been 20 years of upping our game. We just released onTrack by MBA Admissions, a massive what Poets and Quants called, I want to get it right, I believe they said the most comprehensive admissions resource ever created. It's an online course that you can complete, that I am the star of, and I deliver lessons and modules, and you get checklists and examples, and it's at a much lower price point than our normal one-to-one services. We're hoping to help democratize this industry as well. So that's a little bit about me, but I don't think that many people came here for me. So I want to introduce our guests and make use of their time quite generously. So here we go. Oh, and I would just say one other thing, a little housekeeping thing. Please, we're only going to use the chat. So please don't use the Q&A. I'm going to try to stay focused. It's just me moderating. So if you have a question that's relevant to some of the questions that we're asking, I can jump in. Maybe I'll jump into the chat here and there just to see if anyone's asking good questions. At the end, we'll use the time to answer whatever questions are coming from the crowd. It'll be a little bit of back and forth. But please just use the chat if you can. And make your chat viewable by everyone. That way everyone can see the question. Okay, so with that, like I said, today we have, pardon me, we have Allison Jamison, Assistant Dean of Admissions at Duke Fuqua. We have Bruce DelMonico, Assistant Dean of Admissions at the Yale School of Management. Donna Clarke, who I always have to say admitted me to Darden in 2000. I graduated in 2003, the Senior Assistant Dean of Admissions at Darden. Donna Levenson, who I feel like I should wave to every year because I think she lives somewhere around me in the Newton area. Donna Levenson, Assistant Dean of Admissions at MIT Sloan. Donna Swinford, Assistant Dean of Admissions at Chicago Booth. And Lawrence Mur'ray, Executive Director of Admissions at Dartmouth Tuck, which I pass by regularly, and it's just such a beautiful campus as well. And for that sake, MIT too. I have no bias here. I can say something nice about every school here for sure. And I think it's important that applicants really get to know every school out there, and make informed choices, and kind of get beyond brand and really understand what they're getting when they get an education. So just one or two other housekeeping notes. I forgot, a recording will be emailed to you within days. Again, we're not using the Q&A function, so please use the chat function. And a member of our team will be collecting and moderating tonight's questions, so just be patient. That's important. Although I think that person has become me now. And yeah, just have fun, and let's listen to those who are in the know. So with that, like I said, we're gonna start with questions for the admissions officers, and I'm gonna ask just and I'll try to think about how to keep this moving in line. So we'll start with going down the list of our panel here. I just want Allison, if you could share anything, and then Bruce, if you could share anything that is exciting that's going on in your program right now, something that you're excited about, whether it's a new dean, a new center that opened up, a new course that's being offered, whatever it might be. So please take it away, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jeremy. And I'm not able to turn on my camera, so I don't.
Oh, sorry. Let me fix that. I'm so sorry.
No, I just don't want to be a disembodied voice for everybody if they can see me.
You still turn your camera. That is, I always joke that there are like 10 buttons, and sometimes I still can't figure out. Zoom. There's no reason why. So I have you up as a panelist. All right, I will try to solve this in real time and with apologies.
No, that's all right. Would you like me to go ahead and start while you're looking
Sure,
for the
please,
button?
please do.
Okay, okay. Well, first of all, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited to be here to represent Duke Fuqua. And yeah, I think that it has been a kind of a wild 5 years in MBA admissions. So as we look ahead to the coming year, there are a number of things that we're excited about. I think that at Fuqua, we'll have a new dean this year. So that is going to be exciting. We've had Bill Bolding for the last 13 years. He's done an amazing job of setting up the strength of our culture and community, and we're excited to see that go forward with a new dean. So that will be something that will be very exciting. We also have added a number of courses around sort of hot topics these days, specifically related to tech, climate, and artificial intelligence. So some of those things that are being added to the curriculum, I think, that are very reflective of the changes that we are seeing now in the MBA world. So sorry, now I'm trying to turn on my video at the same time. So those are a couple of things that we're excited about at Fuqua.
Please continue. I'm so sorry. I'm making everyone hosts as well as we do this.
Okay. I think that I think you had suggested myself and Bruce. So Bruce, maybe I will pass the baton to you about what you're excited about at Yale.
Yeah, thanks so much, Allison. Happy to jump in. I think it looks like you and Donna have made the.
I'm gonna remove some hosting privileges for a second here and try to add some back. I wish I had some tech support on here, and I sincerely apologize to everyone.
Well, maybe Donna, since your camera's on, maybe you can go next.
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everyone. Jeremy, great to see you. Thanks for having me, and to all the participants, thanks for zooming in on a Sunday morning, and nice to see colleagues from other schools too. Couple of things we're excited about at Darden. There's a lot of positive momentum at Darden. Our dean, Scott Beardsley, has been there for almost, 10 years. And one of the things that I love about Darden is the constant positive momentum. I'm going to talk a little bit about a master plan improvements at Darden. So for those of you you'll see that Darden built its own hotel. It's operated by Kimpton. It's beautiful. And the intention is to have a hotel that's more on brand, that would attract prospective students, corporate recruiters, executive education participants, and the revenue from that hotel actually comes back to Darden. And one of the plans is that revenue will be used for scholarships as one of the priorities from the hotel. We're also going to be breaking ground soon on beautiful residence halls. It won't affect people coming in this fall, but we're really excited about that enhancement. Our dean, Scott Beardsley, recently took a sabbatical to go to Oxford and get a certification in the ethics of artificial intelligence. He also got a $120 million gift, and part of that gift is going to be used for a Center for Artificial Intelligence. So a lot going on at Darden in terms of really educating the entire community, students, faculty, and staff on artificial intelligence and how to optimize it. Lots of complicated questions. But that is something that we're really excited about and is really timely. And Jeremy, would you like me to call on somebody else or send it back to you?
I'm working hard here. There's the most simple explanation of video here, and yet I'm unable to see where it says click allow panelists to start video, and it's not saying that. So I'm going to try to switch the co-hosts again, and I'll move it to Bruce to be a co-host if I can. And I'll try to keep doing this manually until I can figure it out. This has never happened to me before.
Hey, we've all been there, Jeremy.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone. I'd like to make sure that everyone can, withdraw co-host from Allison and make Bruce that. I'll keep doing this manually, and then until I can figure it out. But thank you for your understanding. So Bruce, you're good to go.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. I still can't use video, but I'll just go by the audio. It's good to see everyone. So Donna, I don't know, you made the cut. I guess it's the Darden bump. Your video and audio are good and clear. So, but it's good to see everyone. Good to be on the panel. Jeremy, again, yeah, I think we've been doing this since the beginning. It's been close to a decade. And I think we started in the industry around the same time. I'm going on 20 years now at Yale School of Management. So it's great to be part of this. I think I'm whatever kind of allergy or I don't know what you got. I definitely have the scratchy voice too, so I apologize if I'll try not to sort of cough or have that affect the session today. Again, it's great to be here. In terms of Yale, there's always, obviously at all our schools, and there's always a lot going on. We actually just last month celebrated the 10th anniversary of what I still consider a new building, Evans Hall. It's a beautiful steel and glass structure Lord Norman Foster designed, and it's a fantastic home for the school. It's great to have before then we were all dispersed among multiple buildings, but have everyone consolidated in one space has been fantastic and really transformative for the experience. But that's obviously a celebration of 10 years. More recently, much like Allison and Donna, there's a lot happening on the tech space and the AI space in particular. And I know we're probably going to talk about that a little bit later today. We've actually had our, specific to that, Kyle Jensen, who leads our entrepreneurship center and is himself a tech entrepreneur, has rolled out a number of courses on large language models and thinking about sort of machine learning and AI. And so which have been very, very popular among the MBA students and then our other master's level students. And then even more recently, this was just announced. Actually, I don't know if it's formally been announced, so I apologize. I might be front running things a bit, but it's supposed to have been approved. A joint degree with our engineering school, which some other programs might have, and we've been working on it. It's always a little challenging, just because engineering is a shorter degree, and to figure out how to have that work as a joint degree with the MBA. But we finally have vote approval for the joint degree with engineering school has been approved by both faculties. I don't think it's been formally announced, so this is kind of breaking news. I don't know if I'm actually authorized to say that, so I apologize, but it's just among friends. But that's the latest thing happening here is the joint degree with engineering school. So I'll stop there.
Okay, great. I have some tech support helping us here. I think we are on to Donna Levenson. Tell us what's going on at MIT, and hopefully your video is on now. I think I'm told that someone has come in as tech support and figured out that everyone can start video now. Okay, guys. That's as again Zoom 3 buttons and I still can't figure it out, but thanks to everyone for your patience and now officially nice to see everyone. Okay, great. Thanks for sticking with me, and thanks to Denise for coming and helping us.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeremy, and thank you for including me. I greatly appreciate it. Oh, I'm live. Oh, good to see. Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. Donna Levenson. Already just listening to these, when you do these panels, you always want to go first because undoubtedly after 2 or 3 people, it sounds very, very similar, which I actually think is great news for people who are looking to pursue an MBA. You have so many really great options in terms of different programs, and you're going to find lots of similarities. And, as much as we're similar, we tend to have slightly different personalities, which is where I think your comfort level with one school versus another really comes into play. But what I'm about to say is not going to be that different than what you've already heard. So first and foremost, on the dean's front, ours is a slightly different story. Our dean, Dave Schmidtlein, of 17 years, actually stepped down in late January to really focus on his health. And as a result, we now have an interim dean, Georgia Parakis, who is amazing. She is very focused. She comes out of the operations research space, and all of this, what we've been talking about, artificial intelligence, is really her area. We've also just launched a full-scale dean search, which will take a little while. But I think I know for a fact that people, as much as you look for that stability, everyone feels very comfortable with Georgia having stepped in. in the interim, and we will see what our next chapter looks like on the dean's front. With regard to what's really exciting on campus, I think, and this is actually something that I've been saying a lot towards the end of the year, especially as we've just finished, many rounds of interviews with lots of candidates. So our president, who's been now at the Institute at MIT for a year and a half, did pretty much a listening tour early on and came out with several priorities for MIT, the Institute itself. And that includes, and I'm guessing this is no surprise, a huge focus on climate, artificial intelligence, entrepreneurship, and of course, healthcare and finance are areas as well. And going through the interview process, every one of our candidates talked about, wanting to come to business school primarily to learn more around the artificial intelligence space, entrepreneurship, and climate. These are clearly the top areas. So to see such alignment, which, to be honest, people might say, of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be so tight, I think is really interesting and noteworthy. And what that means is, when we talk about what I think differentiates MIT Sloan, it's the MIT and MIT Sloan and the opportunity to engage with the greater MIT community based on what the interests are of our students and our incoming students in particular. There's tremendous opportunities for Sloan to have a seat at the table at these wider institute initiatives. I think that's amazing. And you all can be a part of that. Jeremy, you're on mute now. Sorry. Sorry.
This is, you do these enough times that eventually you can screw everything up. Okay. Thank you, Donna. Okay. So, Donna, Swinford, and Lawrence. So Donna Swinford, I'm please go ahead.
Hi, well, thank you again for having us here. And it's really nice seeing everyone. So at Booth, I think this is a year for just creating new opportunities for students. So we created and are starting 2 new master's programs this fall. First new programs in like 80 some years at Booth, but a master in finance and also a master's in management. At the same time, just like how Donna was talking about the president at MIT and kind of the direction, the president at University of Chicago is really encouraging the different schools to figure out how they can collaborate to create opportunities for our students to gain the education that they desire. So, a couple of years ago, we've had various joint degrees, but we did an accelerated JD MBA where you can get both degrees in 3 years. We have a joint degree with computing science. And then this year we have 2 brand new joint degree programs, one with applied data science, really for those who want to be leaders in kind of these data-centric environments. You can also get the degree in 2 years, the same amount of time as the MBA. We also have a brand new degree with biomedical sciences. So really for those who want to be leaders in healthcare, pharma, policy and such. So it's really right now just about all these different opportunities for the school to think how we can look through the profiles or just throughout the entire University of Chicago to create opportunities for students.
Thank you. And Lawrence, I promise you, Lawrence, you get a quick turnover here because I'll go to you first. In fairness, you get to go through the next questions. But thanks so much for joining us, and nice to meet you. And please tell us what's exciting at Tuck these days.
Yeah, good morning or good evening wherever you are. Good afternoon. Lawrence Mur'ray, the Executive Director and Dean of Admissions at the Tuck School. Some things going on here at Dartmouth College and the Tuck School of Business over the last 18 to 19 months. We've had 2 of the largest gifts in both the business school and the host institution's history. The one gift will focus on health, wealth, and sustainability, and a lot of that money will be going towards faculty and enhancing our research centers. And then we've had another gift that's focused exclusively on scholarships. So that will kick in next year. So those folks that are currently in the pipeline won't see that, but the folks for in the next couple of years will see that. On the curriculum front, like many of my colleagues, and hello to my colleagues, I think I saw some of you last week, but on the curriculum front, new courses and emphasis areas in AI, machine learning, AR and VR, Despite what we're seeing in the media and in legislation, Congresses and legislative houses around the country, we are putting a flag in the sand on DEI. We will apply and we will adhere to the Supreme Court rulings, but we're putting a flag in the sand on DEI. And one of those is one of our new centers for workplace inclusion. So our centers, it's a intersection between the faculty and their curriculum and research, student clubs and organizations, career services as well. We just created a new portfolio of short sprint style courses. So these are hyper precise courses around a faculty area of interest. And usually it's about 12 hours worth of meeting time condensed into about a week or so. And they meet at non-traditional times. So oftentimes it's on a weekend or in the evenings. And then we also have some new collaborations with the School of Medicine and Arts and Sciences. We have a new executive master's in healthcare administration. And then we are enhancing some of our partnerships with the School of Engineering around engineering and engineering management.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. We're gonna quickly flip it around here. So we'll go in reverse order if I can remember that order, because it changed sequence, I think, because of the co-hosting. I think one of the bigger things that's that is on applicants' minds, any sort of change or difference from the past, I think gets a lot of questions going. Can you talk about the role of the new GMAT, how it's being assessed, how you're thinking about it, and I'll maybe scoop a couple of future questions, like what you consider to be competency levels in certain areas like math. I think there were on the quant side, there used to be, like, obviously some averages that were illustrative for applicants for what to aspire to. So a huge grab bag on the new GMAT to start, maybe some follow-up questions.
You want me to start that?
Yeah, sure, if that's okay.
Sure. So, I've been in this business now like 22 years or so. These tests change. This isn't the first time that tests have changed. So, we do, obviously now there's the GMAT, there's only one GMAT, the GMAT focus, and pretty soon it will just be called the GMAT test again. So, we are looking at that alongside, all of these other exams, and rapidly the GMAT, the new GMAT, will replace, in terms of the scores that are reported, will replace the old exam. So at Tuck, we are looking at that test alongside the legacy GMAT, which we have plenty of those that are still in the pipeline, as well as the GRE. We also do a test waiver. It's a pretty stringent set of parameters for a test waiver, but for all intents and purposes, we are looking at the new GMAT in the same way that we looked at the old GMAT in a sort of a portfolio of exams that are offered.
Donna, Swinford, and to add any guidance that you can give anyone, like, is it as simple as looking at the concordance table and saying, well, if our old average was 730, then our new average is, so let me, I think I've led this question far enough. Donna, share your thoughts.
Yes, that's what we're doing. Only 2% of our applicant pool submitted GMAT focused tests this year, so it's still new to our readers. And I think that even GMAT themselves have made some modifications recently in how they are with the percentiles. So it's kind of we're learning as we're going, as we're reviewing this, but recognizing that this is going to be the primary GMAT format soon. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're thinking right now.
Okay, I'm going in reverse order of my list here, so I might be mixing it up considering the changes that were made. But Donna Levenson, can you share any thoughts on the new GMAT? That any particular guidance? Any thoughts on the data insight section that's now been integrated and how that's being evaluated or its importance?
I actually have nothing more to add. I think for all of us, this is, and I guess, one point of clarification? I think you asked, like, if we were adjusting what our targets are. I actually don't think it works that way. I think what happens is we assess individuals, we really do. And, their GMAT score, whether it be old or new, is one of the criteria we look at to help us assess whether or not we feel people would be comfortable, successful in one of our classrooms. Once we're done, we then go back, and based on that, we look at what then that average is. And so I liked when Donna Swinford said, yeah, I guess that's what we're doing, because I think the reality is we'll know after. I know people don't like that answer necessarily, but I feel like, this is more of a thermometer than a thermostat, as opposed to we're not using it specifically, to adjust our dials. We're going to look at it afterwards and see where we landed.
Okay, great. Thank you. Donna, Clarke, any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess just maybe a couple of words of encouragement with the GMAT focus. And I know that the Graduate Management Admissions Council, who produces the GMAT and GMAT focus, their intention was to create sort of a friendlier version of the GMAT. So hopefully that's an encouraging word. As Lawrence said earlier, we're accustomed to tests being modified. So several years ago, the GMAT introduced the integrative reasoning section, and there's always a little bit of a learning curve and an adjustment for admissions offices. For our school, and I would say in this year's first year class, of the people who submitted a test, 50% took the GMAT and 50% took the GRE. So, there's options out there too. And we also have a test waiver process, because not all stellar applicants are stellar test takers. And we want to have, in this day and age, 2024, there's lots of alternative evidence that you can do well academically. We've worked with enterprise analytics to determine what those indicators are outside of a standardized test. So I just wanted to let people know that, there's a rise in popularity of the GRE as well. And this new exam was intended to be a little bit softer and friendlier, applicant friendly.
Bruce, anything to add? Any guidance?
Nothing terribly insightful that others haven't said already, but I would echo Donna, Clarke, that the intention was to shorten the test, make it more applicant friendly, allow you to kind of reorder and re-answer certain questions. So hopefully that's a benefit. To Donna Levenson, yeah. So we're not looking at the numbers. So don't be stressed about the numbers. We're not looking at the numbers. We're looking at the percentiles. We're trying to keep it. And to be fair, for those who took the older version, the newer version, we're trying to keep it consistent in terms of how we look at it. So we're not, we won't know what the number is until we, at the end of the year, but we're trying to be consistent across test administration. So we're not advantaging or disadvantaging everyone. So don't worry about what number your score is. We're looking at the percentiles. And in terms of data insights and other aspects of it, we're not overthinking it. We won't know how predictive those are until we actually have people go through the program and see what their performance is. So we're not going to try and lean in or out in any way in anticipation. We're waiting to see what the data shows us in terms of how predictive that newly constituted quant section is in terms of performance. But for now, we're treating it the same way. There's no advantage or disadvantage in terms of sort of obviously you can only take the GMAT, the new GMAT, as Lawrence said, as opposed to the previous version. There's no advantage or disadvantage between that and the GRE. We're looking at it very, very simply, very straightforwardly, and hopefully that's how you're approaching it as well as a candidate.
Allison, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think we've covered it pretty exhaustively. The one thing that I would say to applicants, if you haven't looked at it yet, the scale is different. So I think, Jeremy, you kind of mentioned, to 720 about the same. That 720 about the same is probably going to be like a 665. So it's a mental shift, I think, and that's not exactly right, but it's, you can find the concordance tables. So as an applicant, just be prepared that the numbers are going to look different. So you kind of have that in your mind and kind of adjust to that. Looking at the percentiles, and I will echo what everyone has said. We accept it. It's considered equally. Very small percent of people that were submitting it this year in our pool. It was also about 2%. Only one part of the equation, and you're not advantaged or disadvantaged by having the new GMAT. It's going to be the only option you have if you choose the GMAT going forward. But it's really just one part of the overall application.
Right. Yeah, and for those who don't know, if you're planning to take the new GMAT, the GMAT focus, they have published these concordance tables, as Allison said, so you can compare. If you sort of speak old GMAT scaling, eventually that'll go the way of the Dawna bird, and people will just kind of readjust to a new normal with the schools that have the scores that now end in 5 instead of zeros, and probably won't need a concordance table to understand how they're doing with time. But for now, if you want to look at like last year's average at Duke, at Fuqua, you can then look at what today's average might be by looking at that concordance table. So GMAT has provided that, but as Donna Clarke said, there's still the GRE and even other options at some schools. So my guess, this is my guess, I think applicants don't like uncertainty. They want to know with precision. And I think there's going to be, in the meantime, a bit of a surge in the GRE, because I think people will be like, that's safe. I know what score I need to get to, as opposed to the new GMAT focus, where it's like, I don't exactly understand where I need to be. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe it's the tail wagging the dog with people like me saying things like that. Okay, thanks so much. Next question, let me think of a scheme to go with in terms of asking everyone to keep moving things around. So the next question, I think Lawrence already talked about the significance of the Supreme Court decision last year. And I'm curious how that's impacted your first year, and if you have any sense of whether your class will change at this point. I know that we're still assembling classes, so classes aren't fully settled because there's still people on wait lists. But I'm going to go middle up here on my list. So Donna, Clarke, then Bruce, then Allison, and then we'll go Lawrence, Donna Swinford, Donna Levenson, if I can remember that sequence by the time it comes around. So Donna, Clarke.
Sure, that's such a great question, Jeremy, as it's I know for me, I don't want to speak for others, it's been an enormous adjustment this year, having always had affirmative action during my career. It's a really big adjustment, and I think this year was a year, as our attorneys say, to kind of get our sea legs and navigate it with the intention that diversity is so important at Darden. I'm sure the other admissions directors would say the same thing. I know them well and I've heard a lot of them speak, but let them speak for themselves. But it's so critical, and we're navigating complying with the law and our firm commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion at Darden. I think a couple of the changes for us is that I personally don't have as much visibility as we're compiling the class on the breakdown of the class. Our attorneys have guided us again that this year we're kind of getting our sea legs, and then at the end, when this cycle closes, we'll probably regroup all the admissions offices at UVA and talk about how to move forward. But I would say that the biggest change, other than the philosophical change of like maybe not being fully on board with the decision itself, is just not having as much visibility into how the breakdown of your class looks as you were navigating it. I can't see it, nobody in admissions can see it, but people in our dean's office can see how the class is coming together. So that's been a big shift. But I would say we really remain very, very committed to bringing in a diverse class, to issues around equity and inclusion, and we have to comply with the law. So it's a lot to juggle. It's a significant change.
Right. Made the job certainly more complicated, I'm sure. Okay, Bruce, anything you can add?
Yeah, just briefly, I mean, obviously I echo what Donna has said. It's obviously a very major change, sort of a sea change in terms of how we're approaching things. We don't, we don't have any idea what our class is looking like right now on that, on that dimension. We won't be able to see until we're done admitting, until the class is set. So hasn't happened yet. And so that's a change. I mean, I would not be surprised if there is a change in the class composition. Just, you know, anytime you take an element of the application process out of the process, you know, things will change. If we didn't look at test scores, the test score averages would change. If we didn't look for GPA, the GPA average, like that's just inherently the case. So I'm anticipating that there likely will be some changes. I think the thing that, you know, we're, and again, echoing Donna, you know, this is the first year. It's not, you know, we're seeing how things worked in the first year. It will be an iterative process. We will continue to evolve how we do things. Even in this first year, though, it did, you know, so diversity, equity, inclusion is an important value, an important component of the community here, as it is, I'm sure, at all of our schools. And we worked in thinking about the, you know, the application process this past cycle. We worked with our Office of Inclusion and Diversity to think about what are the values we care about, what are the things we care about, how can we capture that information in other ways that are consistent with the guidance of the Supreme Court, and you know, what are the sort of the really the values and the qualities that we care about for our community, and how does that map onto our application process, independent of the issue of race. And so that's been a very introspective process. I think it's been a positive process as we think about, maybe a little bit more deeply about how we're, you know, what we value as a community and how we like to engage with each other, you know, here at Yale. So that's been an important part of the process too.
Okay, thank you. Allison, can you, anything to add?
Yeah, I think everything that Bruce and Donna said, totally agree with. We don't have visibility into how the class is coming together yet, and we won't until they really show up on campus. So I think it's a great point that Bruce made, that when you don't look at something, of course, you're going to see some change there. But we did, as everybody did, I know, we're always are looking for diversity in a number of different ways of life experiences, of perspectives, of values, and things like that. So this year we did like add a question where a short answer where people could tell us something about their lived experience, whether that was you know, living internationally or coming from a difficult background or overcoming particular obstacles and things like that, which was something that the Supreme Court ruling helped us sort of think through. And it's been a fantastic addition to the application for every applicant to just hear things that might not come out otherwise in a business school application. So I think as we all get used to this, we will see what we've learned. We will see what happens this year, and I'm sure we'll all make adjustments going forward. But I think at its core, we are always looking for different perspectives and different experiences. So, you know, I think that we still all strive for that. And we're just looking at different parts of the application for some of that information.
Okay, thank you. Lawrence, anything to add?
Too much different than my colleagues. Well said. We've always, you know, really tried hard to select the best candidates who will be successful in and out of the classroom. As I mentioned earlier, you know, in full compliance with the Supreme Court ruling, but we remain firmly committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We're looking at doubling down on sort of the top of the funnel activities. The scope of the Supreme Court ruling didn't, as of yet, talk about or impact recruiting. So thinking about different ways that we can get people into our pipeline who come from a wide and diverse background. And then, you know, we're in the process of reviewing our application. We have been in the process of reviewing our application. And like some of my colleagues mentioned, thinking about other ways that students or applicants can share information about their lived experiences and their unique ability to contribute.
Great. Donna Swinford.
I really have nothing else to add other than the funny note that I have talked to my legal counsel more in the past 12 months than in my 25 years of being here. So, but they've been really great, just open to any of our questions, just making sure that we are in compliance.
Okay, Donna Levenson, your camera's off. I don't know if you want to turn it back on, and if you have anything to add. I know that having a 6-person panel, we just have to consolidate our panels for the benefit of time for everyone. But then the 5th and 6th person, it's always tough. But if you have anything to add, Donna Levenson, please jump in.
Yeah. So what I want to add is I was not the one who shut off my camera. Somebody else did. That's okay. Not taking it personally. But I truly have nothing more to add.
How did that happen, Donna?
I want to echo everything my colleagues said.
I'm asking you to start video. I think I just did that. Do you want to start video again? Do you want to give that a shot?
Sure.
There we go. I don't know what is going on here. Okay. Okay. Thanks for everyone for having a sense of humor and rolling with it. I appreciate it. So we talked a little bit about a couple. Lawrence just mentioned kind of changing the application a little bit. I think that's also on applicants' minds these days. What if any, changes you're expecting to make to your application this year, to your essays in particular? And when do you expect to release your essays? Because this is the time of year where applicants are literally like standing by their keyboards, fingers like almost like Bugs Bunny when he's like running with his legs in the air and he's not able to move. That's the way we feel like applicants are right now. They're really itching to go. I think usually at this time of year, 1 or 2 schools have released. So yes, in short, no short questions with me. Are you making any changes, and when do you expect your essays and application to go live? And we'll go, can someone think of a scheme here for me? We'll go, I don't know. We'll go with, I always like to joke about the number of Donnas here. So we're gonna go all Donnas first, alphabetically with Donna Clarke, Donna Levenson, then Donna Swinford, then we'll figure out the rest. And this is usually where Donna Levenson starts rolling her eyes at me. So there we go. Okay. So Donna Clarke, any changes to your application? When are they coming out, et cetera?
Sure. We're hoping between June 1st and June 15th. Probably the essays will be released first and then followed by the application no later than June 15th. I would like to expand on just the reference that many of us made, and including us. We've been asking a question for several years about additional context, and we're expanding that a little bit this year. So one of the questions that we introduced several years ago, is there anything else about your background that would give the admissions committee greater context? So it could be, anything from a health challenge, an absence from school, and an issue with, financial challenges. And I love that question. And it just shows that, life does have its challenges, and it's really helpful for us to have that context as we're evaluating. In light of affirmative action, we're expanding that to include and make it sure that people are aware that they can talk about lived experiences of all types. I think as applicants are navigating that, they need to be authentic to their level of privacy. And some people are very open and have formed great resilience and even, passion for helping others who may have navigated a similar life experience. But you also need to be authentic to, if you're a private person and you don't want to share, it is an optional question. But just want to encourage people to the extent that they're comfortable to complete that. I think, our team really have big hearts, and it has been incredibly valuable for us to see some of the circumstances that people have navigated while they have been building, their resumes and experiences in life. So we're expanding that a little bit, but I think the essays we're expecting to be largely the same. The deadlines will be largely the same, and they should be released very, very soon.
Okay, thank you. Donna Levenson.
You see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So no significant changes to the application itself. I'm sitting here thinking about that. We actually have a meeting in a couple of weeks to talk about it, but nothing significant on the horizon. However, what we are talking about is how to address the fact that we now know that people perhaps use some support, such as an AI engine, ChatGPT, to perhaps help them create elements of their application. And do we want to somehow have them share that with us or not? I don't have an answer for that at all yet, but that is definitely something that we are discussing. Otherwise, most likely early July, and to release the application, and no real changes to the application deadlines either. So our first deadline will most likely be end of September, early October. Our second deadline will be mid-January, and then our third deadline will be sometime in April.
That's fascinating. I can't wait to see what you get. So I'm sorry, sir. I can't wait
I just said of 2025. It's hard to believe that we're talking about 2025.
That's fascinating. That's my next topic is AI and its role, but that's very interesting that there could be a
disclaimer of some sort or an acknowledgement. Yep. We're talking about that.
Fascinating. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, Donna Swinford.
So we're pretty easy. We're not changing really anything from this current application. I'm very much addicted to the current essay question. I love it. We get a lot of information from it. We hope to have the application live by July 1st.
Okay. That's great. I mean, one thing that's interesting about the Chicago ones is there's no upward limit on some of the essays. What's the craziest someone's gone? Did you ever get anyone who's like, I've got 5,000 words on a 250 minimum?
No. So I honestly, I don't think we've ever seen that. People are pretty
They're reasonable.
Yeah, very reasonable.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay, let's go with my alphabetical theme, if my brain can think that quickly, of the remaining three. So we got Allison, then Bruce, then Lawrence. We're going by first names.
Okay, yeah. So at Fuqua, our essay questions will be the same. So if you're waiting to start, those are not going to change. So feel free to go ahead and get started on those. Similarly to my colleagues, I love our 25 things list. So I don't know if that will ever change that. And then we have the application scheduled to go live July 1st. That's when you'd be able to access it and start entering information. But again, the essay questions are going to be the same. And the application deadlines are going to be the same, plus or minus a couple of days, but that'll all come out by July 1st.
Great. Thank you. I love that 25. The 25 thing is a lot of fun to read.
It's a lot of fun to read.
They bring so much personality and life to their applications. It's really,
absolutely.
Yeah. Bruce?
Yeah, thanks so much. So SH questions will not change. We'll announce that probably in the next week or two, but those will be the same. We're working on finalizing the application deadlines, which will probably stay largely in place like some of the other schools, mid-September, early January, mid-April as the three deadlines, in addition to the consortium deadlines and the QuestBridge deadlines as well, which are out of our control, but those are obviously important ones as well. And application we're hoping to bring live in about a month, mid-June. So hopefully there'll be an announcement by the end of this month about essay questions and deadlines, but they aren't going to change. And actually thinking about Allison and others' points about thinking about what the class looks like. And in terms of changes to the application, we always do. We look at every year. We're in cycle prep right now, thinking about how we're going to evolve it. One thing we have made changes on the last few years, I think Donna Clarke might have mentioned this, is over the last half dozen or so years, we've really included much more background information questions, trying to learn more about candidates beyond just kind of the more traditional metrics. And I think that has made a difference in our class composition. 5 years or so ago, we had about 10% first generation to college. Now we're about double that, right around 20% of our incoming students are first generation students. So that's been an important element of what we're hoping to bring together as a community.
Right, Lawrence?
Yeah, so our essays, we're in the middle of cycle prep as well, sort of at the tail end of cycle prep. So there may be some changes to our essays. I think the core essays will stay the same, but we will, as I mentioned earlier, trying to figure out better ways for applicants to share information about their values, their unique ability to contribute, and their diverse backgrounds. We are looking at making some streamline enhancements to our test waiver process and our application waiver process, and we'll release our deadlines and the application probably the first week of July.
Okay, great. So there are a whole bunch of green lights there for anyone who's listening who wants to get started on their essays. It doesn't want to be my probably way out of date Bugs Bunny analogy there, so you can probably get started on most of these schools' essays now. That's great. I guess Donna led us to my next area of question, Donna Levenson, which is the role of AI this year and what you saw. What were the changes? Does it give you concern? Is it just part of the review process now? Are there changes that you're going to make, as Donna Levenson hinted to? So yeah, multiple questions. What was the role last year, and how has it influenced you going forward? How about we'll try to reverse the order? I'm making it too complicated. I don't know. Okay, I'll just Lawrence, go ahead. How's that?
Yeah, so the role of AI, so this is something that's top of mind. And so I don't have all the answers. We definitely are considering some sort of declaration, and we're actually possibly considering something creative in one of the essays around AI. But definitely you'll see some enhancements to our applicant integrity clause that says something about AI. And the reality is that AI is here to stay, and it's going to be part of our future. And one of the things, I was just at we had a corporate advisory board meeting not too long ago, and every single one of the panelists from top consulting firms and top financial services firms, and really all of them, said something to the effect that, the students, MBA students that are entering the professional world of work now need to have a deeper than a surface level understanding of AI and machine learning. So we want to sort of take that and look at it through that lens and figure out a way to integrate that into the application process. I will say one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to build some blog posts around the responsible use of AI in the admissions process. So we want to get out ahead of this and give folks some guidelines on sort of the best way, some best practices on using AI in the admissions process. So stay tuned for that from our Tuck 360 blog, and we've got some new video content about that as well. But related to the application, you'll see that when it's released in July.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, Allison, I'm going in reverse clockwork on my screen, just in case anyone wants to know my scheme right now. That's what it is. Allison, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we did address this in this past year's application as well as part of our essay prompt of that, AI can be used much like Grammarly or a Google Translate if English is not your first language as a tool to help you craft an essay. But just like if you put something in your native language and translate it into English and put that in your essay, that's not going to make any sense. AI, I think, is kind of the same way. So we acknowledge that it's there, that it can be a tool, but that AI for us is really authentic individuality, and that anything that you present in your essay should still be your authentic voice. So, I think we are trying to sort of find that balance of recognizing that it is a tool that can help, but it should not be writing essays. I do think that, like Jeremy, you've probably seen people write the 25 things essays. ChatGPT is terrible at that essay. We've experimented with it. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And they're fairly easy essays to identify. I did not see it very much, honestly. But I think we're trying to sort of find that line of balancing it as a tool and then making sure that you keep the authenticity. There's actually a LinkedIn Live series right now with one of our faculty members who just did research on AI as a tool, and his key finding was that you need the human interaction to make AI really work. So I think that plays in very well to sort of what we're recommending for our applicants, that yes, it can be a tool, but it shouldn't be what is writing your essays.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like the 25 things, but by nature is so inherently specific to you,
Yes.
right? And so
yes, you'd have to give 25 examples to include, and then you've already written the essay, so it doesn't really help you that much.
Yeah, it's like to pick something so precise and the whole idea is being so distinct and interesting about you that
Right.
you can't draw that for anything other than yourself.
Right.
So okay, Donna, Clarke, any thoughts on AI and its role thus far, and Darden's reaction to it going forward?
Sure. Well, this panel is reminding me that I need to elevate this on my to-do list. We want to make sure our policy is consistent with our schools, and the schools policy is very much that this is a new technology that our students should be embracing, at Darden and in their careers. And so I don't anticipate that we will have a policy, but just more of an assumption that maybe people are using it as to supplement the manner in which they go about the application. Honestly, this past year, with looking at the essays, so many of the essays are so personal to the person that I don't have any grave concerns that the majority of essays are being written by somebody else without any level of authenticity. I anticipate that it's going to be consistent with our schools policy, and that is that students should be learning how to optimize these tools. And, with that new AI Institute at Darden, there's so many trainings for all of us, which is great on, how to optimize these tools. So I don't anticipate having a policy.
Okay, great. Bruce.
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much to add. I think there have been some great answers, great insights. And so Allison's point, and with it, which Donna just reinforced, it's a tool. Unless you're creating something out of whole cloth, it's not going to really provide much. You can't really lean so much on this. We don't. We're waiting. The university, Yale, hasn't come up with a university guidance. I think to Donna Clarke's point, we want to be consistent with what the university and the school, and obviously this is being investigated, and there are committees looking into this. So we will take our guidance from that. People are using it. I think we just have to think about how they can use it responsibly. One thing I would note, and I don't know if this speaks to AI specifically or other forms of preparation, but we have our video question component of the application, which some other schools have, and also we have some in-person admissions interviews, and then some virtual admissions interviews. And we've seen in the virtual interviews and in the video questions, it's clear that some of the candidates are reading. And I don't know if that's ChatGPT enabled or some other method of preparation, but that's not to the point of being sort of your true self and being authentic. That's not how to do it. And I think if you think this is the course that's helping you, it's actually being counterproductive. So think about the proper uses of AI in other prep materials more generally, and think about where the line is and where you need to really kind of be who you are and let yourself, your instincts, your experiences sort of guide yourself.
Yeah, great. Thanks. That's a fantastic. I appreciate you adding that on the video component. I think that's very, very helpful to people. Because like, what's the purpose of that is spontaneity, right? If you deprive someone of that spontaneity, you've deprived them of what they're looking for. So I think it's really important. Okay, Donna Swinford, any thoughts on AI at Chicago Booth?
I echo Donna Clarke. I think someone just asked in the chat if we would move towards video essays and to overcome the ChatGPT. But Donna Clarke shared an example where her team actually was able to create a video with her and so video is not even a way to overcome chat or artificial intelligence.
Right.
I can expand on that because it was really interesting. We had a training at work and they showed me I have a video blog, me and my video blog, and then an AI generated video of me. It wasn't me doing a video, and it was really weird. It was uncanny how the resemblance, I could tell from the voice it wasn't me, and that person had higher cheekbones, but it was uncanny how similar it was.
You should be honored that you're deep fake worthy. That's an impressive level to have achieved.
Donna Levenson, and you already talked about how you're going to be changing some disclosures, but any other thoughts on that?
I truly have nothing more to add.
Okay, I love it. Donna Levenson, always so frank. That's her role here. Did I get everyone on that round? I think Lawrence, did I get you on that round? Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's take a couple questions here from this is breezing by. That's good. Let's take some questions from the audience. There was one question I thought was just very nice question. Good feel-good question from Rohit. It said, what is the component of the application that you're most excited to see when you're reviewing applications? And the follow-up is, what are the ways that the applicants tend to mess up that component? But let's stick with the first part. Just when you review an application, what do you like? Wow, I'm excited. Let's dig in on this piece. We'll go. Okay, Donna Clarke wants to go first. You want to put your hand up?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were looking for volunteers.
Oh no. Well, now I am. Go for it.
Okay, just quickly, we have a question that asks the person to introduce themselves to the community and share something that's not on their resume, and I love reading the responses.
Okay, let's try to get some of the randomness and character that people aren't expecting that they're gonna contribute. Great. Okay, anyone else want to throw their hand up for the next round? The next round? Vic's want to grab back. Donna Levenson.
Yep. So this is not on our original application, the initial one, but when we invite people for interviews, we actually ask them to provide 2 additional pieces of information. And one of them is a data visualization, either one that they have created or something that they've seen that really captures their attention. And I love these. It gives people an additional opportunity to share something they're passionate about. I always learn something from these visualizations. I love the conversation that often spins off from these visualizations. So I would say this is one of my favorite parts of our application process.
That's great. Allison, go for it.
Yeah, I think we've kind of already touched on it for us, but it's the
25.
25 things essay. It's really fun. But people tell you things that again wouldn't come up other places. They include links to videos of themselves doing certain things. There are photos in there. I've seen more babies and dogs and kittens, which I love. People diving with sharks, like it's amazing. So yeah, every time I kind of save that, that's like my little dessert as I'm reading the application. Like, all right, here we go. And here's the 25 things. And that's where you really, really get to know the person as a whole. So that's absolutely the most fun.
Well, as I said at the beginning, part of the reason why I did this in the first place is to show that we have real, like, human beings here who have real emotions. Like, the idea that you're referring to that as dessert, I think is a exclamation point on that core point. Lawrence, what about you, Lawrence? What do you love to see? What do you get excited about digging into? What can't you wait to get to?
I always get excited about the interviews. I think the interviews, it's an opportunity. We do in person and virtual, both are seeing the same value. But I'm always excited to read how our interviewers are interfacing with the candidates, and that's an opportunity for them to come out of their shell, the applicant to come out of their shell a little bit, and they share a little bit more about their authentic voice, but they bring their whole self to the interview. They share their authentic voice, and they share stories that elevate beyond what their essays do. So I'm always excited to read the interviews.
Right. Bruce.
Yeah, I'm going to approach it a little differently. We, as part of holistic review, which I think you'll hear us all talk about, every candidate presents a different profile and different strengths and weaknesses, and we try to meet them where they are. And so I don't know if I could point to a single element that is like we're most excited for, because we're most, different things will pop for different applicants, and we're most excited for that element for each applicant. And in some things, for some candidates, it might be something more straightforward. For some things, it might be something supplemental that kind of really adds context and contour. And so I think, we try to approach each candidacy individually and not really kind of force fit that candidate into our idea of what they need to present to us, but really try to meet, as I said, meet them where they are. And so I think for each candidate, we're excited for something a little bit different each time.
Okay, great. Donna, Swinford.
I agree with Bruce. I think we get really like a first snapshot candidate, and then you kind of decide from there where to read. I don't really necessarily read every application the same order or the same way, because each one's different. And so it's kind of this discovery of getting to know who the person is. So there's many different highlights in various applications.
Okay. So I'm going to applicant questions here a little bit, and there's a question here on campus visits, and I wonder if, like, I feel like when I applied, this is, all of 25 years ago now. You can see a few gray hairs in my beard now. I was going to call myself a gray beard. That is literal now. Like, I feel like there's a real emphasis on, like, you got to go to campus. And with the change and things like Zoom, which, we're doing today, and the ability to attend, other virtual visits, like Yale has an awesome virtual visit where you can vicariously tour the school three-dimensionally, and all these other resources. Is it still important for you from an admissions perspective? I mean, I think it's still important for applicants to see what they're getting. I think that's wonderful. But is it still, do you still feel like it's, how much emphasis, how important is it to you that an applicant travel to campus and really see it with their, their own eyes? Donna Levenson's giving me one of these, so she gets to go first. It's the old cold call thing where if someone's giving you a reaction, you go with them.
Yeah, so I actually I think it's important to engage with the school. It shows interest. It shows, that you're learning more about us, whether that's virtual or in person. At this day and age, I'm not sure it matters. I think, though, for some individuals to truly it's up to the individuals if they really want to get a good feel for the schools. And I'm pretty sure you walk in the door and you can get a sense. Then I would encourage you to do so. But I don't think from our assessment, it really matters. But it is really important to engage with the schools, show your interest, whether it's through a virtual info session, coffee chat, or physically showing up on campus.
Okay. Lawrence, what do you think?
I echo what my esteemed colleague, Donna Levenson said. I have nothing more to add.
Okay, I would just say that like as I look at the schools here, so many. I mean, I visited each of these schools, and they're also beautiful and fun to visit. To the extent that you can visit, they're just great places to if you're passing by, just to see. But anyway, moving back to the question, Allison, any thoughts on the importance of someone physically putting their feet on the ground and on the Fuqua campus?
Yeah, I mean, I think what everybody said resonates with me as well. I do think that, especially during COVID, when people couldn't travel, a lot of us put a lot of effort and time into creating virtual experiences and different ways to experience the culture and things like that that didn't require you to be on physically on campus. But I do think talking to alumni and talking to students, as we said, is a really great way if you're not coming to campus. But for anybody at some point before you decide which school to go to, I do think it's helpful to visit the schools. And like we said, just even 5 minutes on campus, you're probably going to have a sense of the feel. But we don't penalize people who don't come to campus. We don't give bonus points to people who do, because everybody has different experiences and different opportunities. So.
Okay. Donna, Clarke, any thoughts?
I would say the same. We don't penalize somebody who doesn't. I think for the applicant's benefit, I think it can be hugely helpful. But from an admissions perspective, I think we're also trying to democratize the admissions process. And I saw a couple of student surveys recently. We asked them how much it cost them on average to apply to a multitude of schools, and the range. It was significant,
Yeah.
and I think it helps build empathy for, like, if you take a test multiple times, or you're using an admissions consultant, or you're applying, have multiple application fees and visits and things like that. So I think it was very illuminating. We knew it would be expensive, but the expense was even higher than we anticipated. And as I think Donna Levenson said earlier, there's so many ways to engage, in virtual events. We travel a lot. And so I do think it's hugely beneficial to an applicant at some point before they matriculate, though.
Bruce?
Yeah, I'd echo everything that sort of Don, Allison, Donna Levenson, and others have said. And then specifically to the point, it's not going to penalize you not to have visited campus. It's to Donna Levenson, it's one of many tools to get to know us, but it's time, expense. To Donna Clarke's point just now, it can cost into 5 figures to apply to business school, which is an amazing, insane amount. And not everybody has the resources to be able to travel to campus, and so we shouldn't be kind of sort of valorizing the conduct that's only available to some and reinforcing some of the discrepancies that exists already. So it can be a useful tool if you're able to do it, but we're not counting it as a plus factor for you as we're reviewing your candidacy.
Can I put anyone on the spot, like, or not on the spot, but can I ask, is there a minus factor ever where someone, I mean, I know everyone's saying you have to engage, but like, would you check things like, I don't know, Jeremy signed up for 10 events and never attended any of them. Is that something that that would bother you? Would you want me to reach out and say, dear admissions, so sorry, I can't make it this afternoon. I've been called into a work meeting. I won't be on that call. How much are you looking at non-participation? Donna Levenson's got her hand up, so Donna Levenson gets to go.
Yeah, because I think the best way to illustrate this is we have 1 seat left. We have 2 people with virtually the exact same profile. One of them has in fact engaged with us, and the other hasn't. We would lean towards giving, again, exact profile up to that point. We would lean towards giving the seat to the person who's engaged, whether it be in person or virtually.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would. Sorry. Oh, did I speak over with someone
please,
else?
Bruce, jump in.
And I would say, I would say, but maybe 40% or more of our candidates are stealth applicants, right? They're engaging information, but not necessarily with us. And we know that that's, people gather information and to do their due diligence in different ways. I don't think we would probably not look at engagement in making any decisions at any level, because it's reading all the admissions in general is reading tea leaves, right? We're trying to make conclusions based on like signals. We're not always great at that, and so this is not a signal that we're really focused on.
Okay, Donna, Swinford, any thoughts?
So I think, to echo Bruce, I think that there's so many different ways that people can gather information that it's just not in my admission system. I have no idea if you work with 10 Booth alumni and that you feel that you were able to get all the information that you need about Booth from those peers. And simply because you didn't come to one of my events doesn't mean that you didn't do all the research. So I guess, so it's hard to really use the system to assess interest.
That's interesting.
And if I could add, I think it comes out more in the application and the essays and the interview and other parts, because you can log on to 10 events and listen to nothing and you haven't gotten anything. And on the other hand, like Donna said, you can talk to 10 alumni and I don't see that, but it comes through in your essays. Oh, they really know us. They really get us. So I don't think there's an automatic, like you've checked a box in the system that you attended these events. It's how have you used the information that you have gleaned in whatever way that you did to make your application really specific to the school you're applying to.
Lawrence, any thoughts?
I think we sort of take the approach that is a combination of everything that people have said. But I will say that there are so many I think back to when I, was applying to business school, really it was like MBA fairs and there weren't as many back then, and then trying to visit schools. And, I didn't have money to visit all the schools. So I think the virtual engagement is a way to democratize this process. But there really is no excuse for not engaging with the school now that you've got, sort of micro level virtual engagements. We do track, like if an alum is working with a student, we ask our alums to provide us with some of that feedback. We have big macro level virtual events. So we've got a series of virtual visit days. We've got a series of master classes. So and then obviously we do on-campus visits. We do admissions fairs at places we host our own events. So there's just a wide portfolio of ways to engage. So I got to be honest, I'm always a little surprised at the end of the admission cycle at reading the application, and I see folks who haven't attended any of these events. And I fully recognize people, they have their own different ways of gathering information, but we spend a lot of time and effort to meet candidates where they're at. So I'm always a little surprised when I see that little engagement area and there's nothing there. But again, like we sort of take the approach that's a hybrid of everything everybody said.
Thank you. By the way, I can see, first of all, there are a ton of questions in here. Hi, Perry. We're clearly not going to get to all of them, and so and if this is going to live on our YouTube, we're going to email this to everyone. I'm really pleased that this is probably the most engagement we've ever had. There's so many great questions that are coming in, so I don't know if anyone feels, if you can just in the chat, just give anyone whatever it would take for follow-up with your office or with you or whatever you would normally do. I would just encourage that, because I can see there are some people asking specific questions. I'm definitely not asking you to make your email public if you're not comfortable with that, but whatever next step someone would want for to have some follow-up. There's a question I saw earlier. I think maybe someone actually emailed me in advance asking about I think there's a bit of a story developing where it might be tougher times for recruiting coming out of school right now. If you can just discuss how your students are doing at this point. Again, I know it's almost like putting together an admissions class. Like there are lots and lots of shoes to drop before the end of the year. But how are students doing recruiting? What are you hearing from employers right now? I don't know, Allison.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me first. Honestly,
I thought myself, who would ask first? I did think, oh my God, I don't want anyone on the spot.
Honestly, at this time of the year, I am so deeply involved in sort of finishing up the class. I don't have like statistics right now from the Career Management Center. We just had graduation last week, so our students are going off and going to their jobs. I know that this year has been a more difficult year, and what I mean by difficult is, maybe people didn't have their full-time jobs locked in in September of their start of their second year. But I know that the Career Management Center team has been working very hard. And I feel like the feedback that we've been getting right now has been positive. I do think there were, in particular, some industries that needed a little bit more time and maybe had to be a little bit more creative in their approach, as there were some industries where there were, there was less hiring, but those companies weren't like not coming to recruit. They just maybe were coming to recruit 6 people instead of 10 and things like that. So I think there was opportunity to do a job search, I think, in a couple different ways. And I think I saw a question somewhere in the chat of like, how does the career search work? And I think, the Career Management Center for all of us is probably going to be the first step for most folks. So we'll have full-time staff who are working one-on-one with students. We'll have second-year students who are advising first-year students as they prepare to go into their internships. There's, of course, the alumni network, which is very, very fertile for recruiting and networking. And particularly, again, it depends a little bit on the industry and the job function that you're interested in. Some of those are going to be more network heavy. Some are going to be more sort of structured through campus visits. So I think there's a lot of variability in there. And this year, I think, was one that did require a little bit more creativity, particularly in some sectors.
Yeah, and I think also for those who are attending now, like on this chat, who knows what the economy looks like when you're ready to matriculate, then get a summer. Like there's a lot of time that's passed between application, matriculation, summer job hunt, final job hunt. I don't have anyone. I put Allison on the spot now. Anyone else want to answer? Add to the Donna Clarke, sure.
Yeah, sure. I just saw our career services department did a presentation, I think, to the Board of Trustees. And yes, job opportunities are down a little bit, but the context is important. There was a chart we saw, and last year was an all-time high. So it's down from an all-time high. And still, they were tracking how many students in the last 10 years have jobs as of graduation, which was just yesterday for us, and then 90 days out. And where we stand right now, I think was the second or third highest in about a 10 to 12 year period, but it's down on a record year. So that you know what I mean? If it's down on a down year, I think that's reason to be concerned. But when you're down on a record year, same thing that Allison said, there were lots of examples of companies still hiring, maybe not just as many. So there were some companies that hired 7 students last year and they're hiring 4 or 5. So that I just wanted to share that context.
Right. Donna Swinford, I think you threw, Lawrence, Donna Swinford, then Lawrence. Sorry, go ahead.
So I just want to point out that our career services team is, they've been doing this for years. So they are well aware of the different challenges that the students can face in a good year and also in a not so strong year. Also, I want to emphasize that this is your career that you're attending the MBA for. It's not for that first job. So that there's a lot of opportunities for you to think about the entire investment, not just the first job that you probably will only stay at for 18 months.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really important point for sure. Lawrence?
Yeah, I echo my colleagues. I meet with our career services director on a weekly basis, actually. We're still seeing industries are still right sizing from the overhiring trends in the pandemic. Again, like Donna Clarke mentioned, we saw a peak over the last couple of years, and these firms are just right sizing. I'd also like to say when we met with our corporate advisory board partners, we're seeing a lot more. I know students still want to do MBB. We are actually seeing a lot more of the non-MBB consulting companies come and recruit and be more engaged on campus. And I would echo that framework of that approach with financial services. So I think people think about the big 4 financial services firms. We're seeing a lot more of the beyond the big 4 financial services firms. And one of the things somebody asked me the other day about sort of the changes that I've seen over the last, I've been doing this for a long time. And at one time I managed career services. I've been I'm excited about the growing number of intersection points, right? So a lot of people coming out of health tech, going into health tech, fintech, looking at learning and AI across healthcare, across economic development, those folks that are going into nonprofit management. So I'm always excited about sort of the evolution of our industry and sort of what we're doing in the classroom and how that's translating into where students are going for their internships and their full-time jobs.
Great. Anyone else want to add anything else to this one?
Just briefly, I would echo, I think Lawrence, that was an amazing, fantastic answer. And I would echo that, it's not as though, I think the right sizing is correct in MBB, sort of, McKinsey, Bain, BCG, they're all hiring. But, if they're pulling back, about half of our students last year went into consulting, and that was probably too high, frankly. And so now the numbers will still be strong, but if then there are opportunities for firms like Deloitte and Accenture and others to come, EY to come in and kind of snap up people that aren't going to McKinsey, Bain, and BCG. Same on financial services. And I think a number of us have been around long enough that we remember the Great Recession. A little more than a decade ago, and I think companies learned their lesson. They turned off the hiring spigot completely, and there were gaps in their talent pipelines, and they realized that was not the way to do it. And they can maybe pull back a little, but they need to keep that talent flowing. And so we're seeing some easing down in certain ways, but I think the market still remains pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean, if I could just add to Donna Swinford's comment about like I think the average MBA job, the first job out of business school is just around a year. I think something like that. I remember one of the career services offices, leaders telling me that at some point at their school, whatever it might be. Like I graduated, and not that I'm a barometer for everyone out here, but I graduated in 2003, which I'm sure people who are listening to have no recollection of what happened at that time. But that was the or limited knowledge. But like that was the complete tech bust of like all of the naive tech companies that people now make fun of, like pets.com is obviously like the poster child for that one. But that was also the summer of, Enron, the biggest financial fraud at the time. And that was the summer when Martha Stewart got involved with this fraud that ended up in jail. And Global Crossing, I think, was related to that when she went broke. And it was just one after another of these companies that no one even knows about that at the time were enormous. And it was a very, very tough, time to hire. And now, I went to my 20-year reunion, and no one is sitting around saying, if that we got crushed by that first year and my career never took off. I mean, and I'm not talking about this as like about my class, but there's the CEO of Boeing Asia, and there's the individual who runs all cereals for General Mills. And this is true of, I'm sure, all my cohort schools. I think everyone, you've got very talented people who on the long haul were talented coming in enough to get into school and will succeed over the long haul after school. So I always think that the hiring is temporary, but people ask always, so it's worth noting. I think the longitudinal study is in the MBA's favor. Great. I think that brings us to close to time. And I think everyone here, it was a big thanks. I hope we see some like applause emojis in the webinar chat. Because I think this is a Sunday, and we have it's a lot to ask for our admissions officers to come out here on a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. To share their time with share their time with everyone here. So I do want to make sure that we say thank you. There we go. I'm seeing some clapping signs there. It really speaks to everyone. To the commitment that all of these admissions officers have to making you aware of of what their schools offer and to what the MBA process offers. I'm going to quickly say, because my team would kill me if I didn't, we released, like I said, onTrack by MBA Mission, which is me with fewer ums and ahs today and better allergy medication than today. Taking you through a guided process through the admissions process, and it's really interactive, as you can see online, with lots of examples, samples, etc. I believe you'll get a discount code if you look at it today, and we actually have a bundle with our friends at Manhattan Prep if you're looking for their for GMAT assistance as well. Everyone here has raised that admissions is an expensive process. We're doing our best to make it more accessible for others, but I would, out of complete fairness, say there are lots and lots of ways to do it for free on your own. And we've made lots of those resources available on our website as well, as do all the GMAT companies, as does Manhattan Prep. With that, I don't know. Can I give everyone a last word? Does anyone want a last word here? I don't want to be the last word. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to say in wrapping about their school or what's going on or anything like that? Or should I have just summed it up there? Anyone have anything to say? I've got now a bunch of blank stares. Be like, why did you do this to me? Now you're putting me on the stage. All right. Well, anyone want to leap in with anything other than best wishes?
Yeah, just that. Just a note of encouragement. This is a long process. It can feel challenging at times, but the fact that you're on a session like this means that you're doing your due diligence and approaching it seriously and in the right way. And just wish everyone good luck. You know, it's an introspective process. You'll learn more about yourself through it, and hopefully you'll get into a great program, get an MBA, and have a transformative experience. But just want to be a little, just a little note of encouragement that it's worth the effort, and we look forward to seeing your applications.
I'll just add that this is, I'll echo what Bruce said. This is an enlightening journey, and the set of schools that you have here are phenomenal. There is an MBA program out there for you, so I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, Allison, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I hope you took down the contact information that we all put in the chat. I think we are all very open to reaching out, talking to you directly. As we've encouraged you to engage with us, we will engage with you. So hopefully you've seen we're not scary people. Like Jeremy said, we're nice people. Our teams are nice people. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, I mean, again, I really want to thank our three Donnas and Allison and Bruce and Lawrence. It's great to see everyone again. I hope we can get everyone back next year again to do this. I think that applicants benefit immensely. Again, this will be on our YouTube. This will be emailed out. We had, hundreds and hundreds of participants, but we recognize that some people are asleep and can't view it. So this will be available in perpetuity. Thanks to everyone for sticking with me through tech issues at the beginning. I really appreciate it, and good luck to everyone. And hopefully everyone finds the school that is ideal for them. Thanks so much.